So I've gone and bought an Alfa Romeo. I've officially lost my mind. This video is sponsored by Vehicle Score. Vehicle Score is a free vehicle checking service which you can visit by going to vehiclescore.co.uk. Simply type in a registration number and you will get a unique score to your vehicle. You can compare your score to the average in Vehicle Score's database. It's full of free useful information such as a mileage tracker history. It gives you a comprehensive breakdown of your MOT history for things like advisories and also wear and tear items. It gives you performance data, an estimated valuation, an estimated lifespan of the vehicle compared to others like it. It's full of free useful information. Also as well, they also have their 2 new features, including the new car insurance tip section to help you save money on your next car insurance quote, and their new AI mechanic, which will help you if you have any issues with a car, trying to diagnose any faults or common issues you might be having with a particular vehicle. But it doesn't end there, because Vehicle Score also offer their paid checks. These checks start from less than a cup of coffee and will check to see things like if your vehicle has ever been involved in an accident, whether it's been written off by an insurance company to a Category N or a Category S. Maybe it's an unrecorded write-off, so it's gone for a salvage auction and you weren't aware of it. It'll also check to see if your vehicle's ever been imported or exported, ever been used as a taxi, has outstanding finance. They offer some of the most comprehensive checks out there, and all this information is assured with their £10,000 data guarantee. The paid checks are some of the most comprehensive priced out there, and it gets better because you guys get a discount. Simply use the promo code CARUK20 to get 20% off any of those paid checks. But remember guys, the basic service is completely free and it's constantly evolving. So make sure you download the Vehicle Score app, get yourself over to vehiclescore.co.uk and give them a try. Morning all, welcome back to the channel, to Car UK and to here at the Car Pitch in Crewe. So what has been going on over the last week to 10 days since our last pitch update? Well, to be fair, not a great deal. It's been really quiet, and to be honest with you, sales have pretty much dropped off. It's been a very quiet period and we've not experienced anything like this since we've been here. Now, there probably is 2 reasons for that. One is, in fairness to us, we've not had a lot to put on sale. We've been really struggling to get cars on sale, queued up with paint, so it's just horrific. And that's mainly down to the fact we're buying a lot of cars that need paint, because that's really the only sort of stuff we can buy at the moment. Anything that needs no paint at all is just all doing silly money, and I don't see any value in them. So obviously, to keep maintaining stock levels, we're having to buy stuff that either wants big mechanical work doing to it, like clutches or gearboxes or stuff like that, or chains or whatever, or buy stuff that needs paint. Got a good paint man, but you can only do so much. So obviously that's the way round, sort of backdoor if you like, and getting a bit of profit out of vehicles. It's a bit tough. Also as well, the trade at the moment is really quiet. We seem to be, last couple of weeks in particular, seems to be really quiet in May. Weather's not been great, it's been raining all the time, and then it changes his mind and it's lovely. Now we're at the bank holiday weekend and we're open on a Saturday, and it's still quiet. Today usually would have had 4 or 5 people on by now. We've not had a sausage, not one person on. So we'll see how the rest of the day goes. We have got a few people supposedly coming down, although we have got the FA Cup final this afternoon, so that's probably going to keep a lot of people away. But nonetheless, I'm still confident we might sell 1 or 2 cars over the weekend, who knows. But yeah, like I said, it's not been great. So let me give you a tour anyway about what's been happening on the pitch, what we bought. We have got some new arrivals, what's coming in, and to have a bit of a chinwag really about what's been going on over my last week or so. Right, beautiful day. Just put the mic on, so we'll get out the wind noise. Starting side, quickly, Ibifas, got a matching pair, his and hers Ibifas. Mentioned these briefly, we've seen this one on the channel before, 091, this is one that came in part exchange. Running fault on it, basically a non-runner. Lady bought a Kia Venga, which funnily enough we had to do a warranty job on last week, bought a set of glow plugs in it. But anyway, nonetheless, we've got this, got it running again, owes us very little money. We are to turn it around in the paint shop. It's now on the ramp, having rocker suspension done. Was hoping to get it on sale this weekend, didn't quite get it over the line. So that will be on sale next weekend. Pleased that be going on sale because they are good news, these little Ibifas. 1.4s, 1.2s, these are 1.4s, these pairs. And they're just really easy things to sell. Good first time cars, alternatives to Corsas and Fiestas. So yes, good. I'm pleased with those. We'll get them on sale next week, that'll cheer me up. The 62 plate one, doing a video on this imminently, so I went out and bought this from the dealer. Did have a few problems with it, which you'll probably see in the video, but we'll catch up with that another time, and I'll go through what I paid for it, etc., and the progress of it. Now, moving on the pitch, we've cleared quite a few cars. We've got a few bits and bobs out, scrapped a few bits in the corner, stuff that's lingering, made a little bit of space, which has been a bit of a breath of fresh air, to be honest. Not so much on the loss I've had to take in getting rid of the cars, but just to get some space back and to sort of move on, reinvest a bit of money into some new stock, which we definitely have been doing. But unfortunately, most of it is in need of big work. So some new arrivals. We'll start first. Qashqai, which we saw on the auction video at G3. Those of you who watch regular, bought this one from there. We've now got this finally done. We've had to do quite a bit to it. I think there's 1 or 2 little odds and sods left, but for test drive status, it can go on a test drive. We've cleaned it up. A little 1.6 petrol, which I quite like. We've had to put a door hinge on it. Typical Qashqai, they usually drop on the doors. So usually when you open these up, it'll rock like hell up and down. The way to diagnose it, literally just get the door, your hand on it, and just move it up and down like that, and you'll see the hinges going. Usually it's the top hinge. Can't really show you here because we're stuck between this other car. Usually it's this top hinge that goes. Sometimes you're unlucky and you need both of them. Get them from Nissan, that's where we're buying from. Oh, signs fell off. They are about 45 quid to buy in the trade. These hinges, and to be honest with you, let's say pretty much all of them need them doing. Bit of a fiddly job, but the you know, you need to do it because it just, the doors are horrendous when they drop and they just don't shut properly and make that clatter. So I've had to sort that out. We've also had to do on this some suspension work on it, gearbox and engine mounts. They were all tatered, very common on them as well. Did all them, changed all those. It's had quite a bit done to it, and also the paint. It needed front and rear bumpers painting, as we mentioned in that last auction video. A few little knick-knacks left to do, but it's in a far better shape than it was when it arrived here a week ago. So got it up for sale now. We've had a bit of interest on it, and we have got a test drive due on it today, so we'll see if that arrives. But we have had interest nonetheless, even online. $32.95, priced it accordingly. It's a nice old thing, good little family cars. I'm not a great fan of Qashqais in general, but to be honest with you, around this sort of early year plate, sort of between sort of 09 and 12 plate, there wasn't really much alternatives to these sort of crossovers in this sort of sector. Later on, you're going to buy something like 16, 17 plate. I'd really like the Suzuki Vitaras. I think they're excellent value, particularly 1.6 petrol ones. But in the early days, like I say, you've got Qashqais. You could look at some of the Hyundais as well, potentially. They're all good sellers, you know. But these Qashqais do need quite a bit of work to get them sorted. But they're not particularly expensive to fix. So, and they're good sellers. That's the name of the game. You've got to sell stuff that sells. Well, so we had come on and arrive. We've also had the Clio arrive. That's queued for paint, would you believe? Again from G3, we bought that. Nice little 13 plate, new later shape Clio. They ran this shape up until very recently. This is also the new Dacia Sandero's based on this setup as well. So it's a nice thing, and a very modern car. We say it wants bumpers painting front and rear, they're a bit faded. The top of the spoiler wants redoing as well. Just a few bits like that. Mop the car up and it'll come up well. Want a valet inside, it's horrendous inside. It's not been well looked after, but you can see the potential in it. When it's going to be cleaned and shined up, it'll look really well. And like I said, the good news is 1.2 petrol, 16 valves. They are really good little engines, bulletproof wheelies. Maybe not bulletproof, that's a bit too far, but reliable. Certainly more, compare that to a Corsa of a similar year. A lot more nicer, attractive car, more modern, just a nice old thing. And first one I've had on the pitch, this shape Clio, so I'm hoping we do well with it. We have had people inquiring about it already. It's nowhere near test drivable, but we've had inquiries, so I think we should be able to sell that, and if we do, I'll be trying to buy more of them, because I think that's just a nice looking modern car at this sort of pricing we're dealing with. The Canto, been on with us for about a month or two. That is sold, going out today. Little 61 plate one, done about 40,000 miles. We have just put a clutch in it. We were going to put a clutch in it anyway because it had a little tiny bit of clutch judder, original clutch in it. We took it out, like I say, it was original, and it was worn on one side more than the other, so it wanted doing. But now it dries lovely. Customers picking that up today, so that's good. We've got some money coming in the bank because we do always need a bit of cash flow. Mariva, this has just arrived yesterday. I've just cleaned it for now and got it sort of semi-ready, although it does need a timing chain, would you believe. 1.4 petrol, Vauxhall Corsa-based engine. Although I've just noticed, I'm going to change them in a minute. Those nuts on the front there, the number plate, the screws are rusty, so I'm going to change them because they are annoying me. In silver, lovely thing, doesn't need paint, which is always a blessing. Doesn't need paint, but it does need a timing chain, which is a typical Vauxhall derived vehicle. Last one we had, it's locked. Last one we had of these, sold really well. This is a nice one again, tech line, so it's got quite a bit on it, alloys and electric windows, climate cruise and all that stuff. Everything you really want, heated seats as well. So it's not a bad little spec, little family car. They're all right, these. They do throw a few faults up. Doors can be problematic. You always got to check those, make sure they're opening, the suicide doors. And obviously you've got to contend with the engine, which is a 1.4 Corsa based. Chains can go wrong and are noisy. You can get issues with thermostat housings leaking, switches and heat switches that go wrong. We've learned quite a lot since we've been here about these engines, which we already knew a lot about them anyway, working on them in our old place. But yeah, we just need to do quite a bit to these when they come in regardless. So always chucking chains on them, always chucking stat housings and stuff and switches on them to get them right. So obviously you're not I've got any comebacks, and make sure you've got peace of mind for the customer, and they're not particularly expensive to fix either. So anyway, we bought that for, how much was it? I think it was around a couple of grand mark, just under, but we're gonna have to spend quite a bit on it in prep wise. Like I say, you're going to be a few £100 into prepping that at minimum, and then some as well on top as well, probably some other bits you're going to have to do. But not a bad one, and it's only one owner as well. Done 100 thou, but it has got full history, and like I said, one owner as well, so it will make a car. And the time we put that chain on, it'll be a nice little family bus for someone. Also as well, we got the Sandero back. We did a video on this a few weeks ago, a little cheapy Sandero. Had a bit of paint, if you remember, on the driver's bottom of the sill here, we had to do, and a bit under the bonnet as well. That's all done, now on sale. Little 27.95er. It's off a good value on a 14 plate. Always drive well. We've basically got the same engine as in that Clio we just looked at. Just nice things. We've had a few sniffs on it already, and hopefully we can get that gone pretty soon. They said good news, the little Sanderos just offer really decent, cheap motoring. Now, story of the day probably here is why I have bought this. It's an Alfa Romeo Giulietta. So I've gone and bought an Alfa Romeo. I've officially lost my mind. They are the sort of comments that I've been getting when I put this on Facebook the other day, and people who've popped in and said, why are you selling one of those for? Let me explain. So, like I said, I bought this off the dealer. I've driven it, it drives very well. It's a 1.6 diesel. They're not bad, these. It's got full history, done 80,000 miles. Would I buy one of these from auction? No, I wouldn't buy one of these from auction. I'd be too scared to buy one from auction. But this one's a well looked after local example. It's been looked after by a local garage that does a good job on cars and has a lot of older customers, should we say. So I know it's got good pedigree behind it, and it's been well maintained. And like I said, I bought it off a trader friend of mine who's sort of connected to this garage who's come from. And it's a nice car, and I thought, you know what, sod it. Sometimes you've got to step out your comfort zone. It's the 1.6 diesel, it's the early 1.6 Fiat derived engine in it, which is not bad. Later ones used to suffer with chain issues and very complex to work on. These early ones, a bit of a sweet spot. They're not too bad, these older 1.6 diesels. Not saying they're bulletproof, by far from it, but they're all right. And this one, like I say, is driving really nice. And for the money, I mean, it's what, 3,700 odd quid. To be honest with you, on Auto Trader, I was comparing them on there. We get a shot of it there. They were coming up more than that, to be honest. The retail suggested was about 4 grand, just over. But I think 3,795 is about right. It makes it one of the cheapest ones out there on that year and mileage, from a dealership anyway, from that perspective. And like I said, it's got good history and it's a nice car. We have had bites on it, and I'm certain we will sell it. And I don't think it'll give us any grief. I think it seems to be all right. The only thing I've picked up on is it just needs a little sensor. The temperature gauge is coming up with outside temperature wrong, which is to do with used to have a, same on some of the Fiats, a little sensor here, there dingles down, and it picks up the outside temperature in the mirror. That's all it needs changing on it, which is quite common on sort of this sort of Alphas and Fiats of this sort of era. So I've got to do that, but other than that, it's all right, it's not bad. And like I say, we'll see how we get on with that. It's a little different, but sometimes, like I say, you've just got to try new things. So yeah, as I say, at the moment, not a real lot on sale, to be honest. It's annoying me, to be fair. It's getting me a little bit sort of frustrated that we've not got anywhere near the amount of cars on sale that we should be. And it's not a case of we haven't got stock. If you didn't have loads of stock to play with, and fair enough, but we have. It's just, we're just now down to all the sort of horrible jobs left. And like, I'll give you an example. So we've got this C-Max here. I've got 2 examples actually here. So we've got this C-Max. This has been with us for probably 2 months, sitting around, lounging about. Now, the first problem with it was filthy dirty. Sadly, didn't have any pictures of it when I first bought it. Got it from Aston Barclay. I say this is probably like its 3rd valet it's had, just trying to get all the crap out of it. The seats were horrendous. It was awful. I know it just wants finishing off now, but the problem with it is it wants a clutch, and we've just not had any time to get it in to do a clutch. Little 1.6 petrol, cheapy bread and butter stock, sort of stuff that we'd sell. Now, it's a bit mileagey, it's done 120,000 miles, but clutch aside, which is obviously knackered, it drives all right. It still drives, but it's just obviously very high and going to slip. So it needs a clutch.
But this is a sort of thing at that price point around the £2 grand, just under £2 grand, 1,800 quid sort of mark. This is probably going to be with a 12 months MOT. You give us a warranty on it as well, service it, new clutch in it, will fly out the door. Someone who wants a family car they can get a few years out of, that's a prime candidate for the sort of stuff that we would sell every day, and we can have a good money out of it. Roughly, I think we gave about something like 500 quid for that. Obviously, it was where it needed a clutch, needs a few bits. Wants also a dashboard fix as well, the binnacle, very common on Focuses. They suffer with like starting issues or the dial's playing up, but easy repair, get them done locally. Company does that for us, very cheap to fix. The easy way to getting them running, just tap the dash and they start working, but obviously it wants fixing properly. But little things like that don't worry us. And it's a sort of car where you can spend, for us, in a garage, spend a couple of hundred quid on it, buying a clutch kit, service kit, binnacle pits and suspension bits and bobs, whack it on in your own time, and you can have a decent margin out of it for the outlay of the car. Probably could have a grand out of it, minus a bit of VAT you'll have to pay and margin. You can have £800 profit out of a car like that. That's the sort of stuff we do well with, and I need to get that really fixed this week. So that is my job for next week. Get that car up and running and fixed and sort of on sale. Another one I need to sort out as well is SX4. Been here a while this now, again, laid up. 1.6 petrol, 4-wheel drive. Good news is, these are good news, they sell well. And this one just wants trim bits and a set of gear linkages. So the gear linkages are really knackered on it, they're dead stiff going in gear. It does run and drive, but it's dead stiff going in gear. Common fault. And trim. The trims on these are always awful, they always come off. And someone has decided in their wisdom to stick them in self-tappers and bolts and all sorts in the plastic trims all over the place. So it wants about 4 or 5 trim bits on it, which you can buy. That's all I'm doing. It wants to clean up, and it wants a set of gear linkages putting on, and then it can get ready to go to valet, get valeted and put on sale. So again, something that needs dragging out next week and sorting. So these are all right, we do well with these. We've always sold these. I mean, they're not like fly out the door, but they are good sellers, and when they go out and you get them right, they don't come back. The Suzukis are quite good, and 1.6 petrols. So again, there's a couple of cars that I need to sort out this week as well. Another car we did sort out this week as well, which has been lingering around in the corner, is this Peugeot, little 207 estate car, which I have actually now technically sold on in the trade. I've decided to trade it on. It's a 1.6 diesel. I'm not a massive lover of the 1.6 HDI. I'm not saying it's a bad engine. It isn't terrible, but I'm always a bit wary of them, to be honest with you. And I've already got a couple of 207s anyway, so I just decided I'll trade this one on. I got offered some money for it. I've cleaned it up. It's been lingering around in the corner. It was terrible inside. I mean, terrible, the valet. It's come up really well now. In fact, we've used it a couple of times this week, picking stuff up with it being an estate car. It's locked, but I can quickly show you inside it with the sunlight. But it's come up really well. And like I said, it's not too bad. We've did have a bit of an EGR sticky issue, which we've now resolved. But and I was umming and whether to retail it, and I thought, well, we've got 2 207s on anyway. I'm not a great fan of the diesel. We fixed it now, it's running right, but I've just, something was telling me not to retail it. And when I get a feeling like that, I generally stick with it. So anyway, I traded it on. It's actually going out on courtesy actually first for a week or so while we do a job for a customer. We've got a Focus, which got a little bit of a little rattle we've got to sort out. So it's going to go out for a week or so, a few days, while we get that sorted. And then it can get traded on, hopefully, in one piece to a friend of mine who's having that. And yeah, it'd be good, we can get rid of that. And we've made all right money on it, to be fair, because we bought it at right money. It was really scruffy, had horrible wheels on it, just put a set of trims on it, bits and bobs, MOT'd it. It's come back, although it has developed a puncture since it's been sat there, which is great. So I've got to put a tyre on it now. But I've had 500 quid out of it. I've had 500 quid wages out of it, and we've done probably, well, the valet's done about a day's work on it. It's been horrendous. And then take account of some mechanicals we've had to do to it, ball joints, stuff like that, a few drop links, and then sort out an EGR that was sort of playing up. We've done that, and we've had 500 quid out of it, and we haven't got to worry about it going on. Yes, we'd have got a bit more retailing it, but sometimes trading stuff on can be just as lucrative as retailing it in some cases, particularly if you think it's going to be or could be a problematic car. So that's what I've decided to do with that. Take a shilling out of it, move it on in the trade anyway, so that's good news. I've got a bit of profit out of that one. So yeah, that is what's been happening really over the last week or so. I've got to make some efforts going forward to get rid of some of the vehicles that have been here far too long. We have started, in fairness, doing that over the last week. getting rid of some scrappers, as I mentioned earlier, the 107 as a Mondeo in the corner, a few other little bits, traded a few things on, and yeah, that's helped and got rid of some dead cars that were never really had any potential, you know, for anything really. I mean, what the Peugeot was for bits, the Mondeo was just a bad buy, and then they happen once in a while. As long as you don't have too many of those, you'll be fine. But it's stuff like this Focus and Hyundai, I'll show you these now. You see, like this stuff like this Focus is an absolute killer. Hyundai's not so bad actually, because we bought that with a fault at the right money. It wants an engine, but that's not so bad. It's a lot of work putting an engine in it, but the reward is good. But it's still a long, you know, 2-day job probably to mess about doing it. And you've just got to sort of get your sort of fitted in your time slots when you can actually get it in and sorted. I've actually got a Fiesta in the corner with the same problem, wants an engine in, which we've actually got here. Been here 2 weeks, the engine has, no time put it in. But those jobs are quite rewarding, but you don't want too many of those. But this Focus is a bad one. This is an example of sort of stuff. And the Polo a few weeks ago we had on as well, which we've now to get rid of and trade on. These are killing us. So stuff like this where you buy them, you get them out of the auctions, or you get them from dealers or whatever, and then they develop faults after you bought them. Now you can foresee stuff going through the auction if you missed it, or you buy it with faults, you know what you're buying. But this one drove all right, and it got here, started it up again, and then it started playing up, and it's getting worse and worse every time you start it. It's got basically, it's a 1.6 diesel, it's got an oil pump problem on it, and it just sounds really horrible and noisy, and the engine's probably goosed. You can fix them to a degree, but to be honest with you, it's easy to just change the engine. If it was a Peugeot Citroën on that year, the engine's slightly different, even though they all used a similar derived engine. But the Ford, for some reason, in this Focus, they carried on with the older style engine for a bit longer. So I can get an engine for this relatively cheap, which is good, because otherwise the later engines are expensive, and that probably would have wiped any money out of the car. But I'm still like, your template Focus, and you're grand into it, and then you've got an engine fault. You've got to put an engine in. It's probably not, you know, you're probably 500 quid in prep. You know, easy engine, doing the labour yourself, tyres, suspension, all that stuff to get it sorted. And then even then, when you've done it, fine, you might have a nice margin out of it, but when you take into account the time you've spent on it, which is, you know, more time than you would spend on any other car prepping it, you've probably not made any money, to be fair. So it's stuff like that that's demoralising, why cars like that end up in corners, because then you just start thinking, well, we can't focus on that, let's focus on the stuff that these little bits doing and get stuff sold and quick and get cash flow in, and it's just very, very frustrating, very frustrating. Yeah, so anyway, a pretty gloomy week, to be fair, not many sales at all, and like I said, not getting much done either, so I'm going to have to give myself a break this weekend, bank holiday weekend, hopefully come back a bit fresher and see if we can try next week to have a great big push and get some cars on sale. I have got stuff in the pipeline, stuff is slowly coming back from paint. I've got a 107 coming back, I've got a Duke coming back, I've got a few other bits and bobs, so I can see in a week or two we probably will be get back ahead again, but we're nowhere near where we should be for this time of the month for sales. We're down. I don't think this month will be profitable, to be honest. I think it's the first month where I probably haven't made any money or won't make any money, might even make a loss. That sounded lovely, didn't it? An old Vauxhall Astra with a popcorn exhaust on. Anyway, we'll see what next week brings. I've got the valeter off next week as well. He's on his holiday for a week, so I'm going to do some valeting myself. That'll cheer me up. I love valeting, just love valeting cars. But on a serious note, I might have to take some stuff down to the valeters we used to use. They were very good actually, but just a bit too slow really for what we wanted to turn around. We needed more doing. That's why we got someone full time in, which was a good decision. But now when he's off for a week on holiday, we've got to go there with our tails between a leg and say, can you valet some cars for us, please? And never mind, we'll see what happens. They might turn us away, who knows? If not, we'll just take them somewhere else. But anyway, that's enough for this week, guys. Hopefully I'll be in a better mood for you next week. I'll have some more interesting cars in, and the situation should have improved greatly. We'll see next week. So thank you for watching this one, guys. Please like and subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to check out our sponsor Vehicle Score for all your car search needs. Thanks again. See you all soon.